shake it up for a minute. In spite of what Jeff said, that you're not going to get any answers here this afternoon, I would like to make what I say as practical as possible for you, so you're going away with something. And as Amy said, I, for 15 years, was working with the athletes in Calgary, not on their sport performance, although I worked in conjunction with their sports psychologists and sports consultants, but on personal issues, transition issues, and career issues, like who are you in the rest of your life, and how are you going to spend the rest of your life. And while you're not going to go away with the answer to that today for yourself, what I would like to tell you is there absolutely are steps you can follow to get those answers for yourself. So there are some things you can do that are like a model, a process that, okay, this is, I need to do this. I like the way Jeff kind of said, yeah, you need to figure out who you are, and then you need to figure out what you want to do. But if you don't think about any of this until the games are over, until you're leaving sport as an active athlete, it's going to be a bumpy transition for you. So I really believe that the transition can be smooth by thinking about it ahead of time. And there have been references by all of the panel members made to that there's a superstition around. And I know when I first was starting out, when it was the National Sports Centre in Calgary, coaches, athletes we don't want to talk about anything outside of sport, like that's going to jinx our performance. Nobody was really seeming to be interested in it, but gradually there was a buy-in as it became evident that people leaving the sport, and as Kristen said, sometimes it's the gold medalist, like Mark Tewksbury is one of the people who, after his gold medal, revealed the depression that he hit, that nobody had been talking about. That's what it could be like after a successful games, let alone what happens if you don't reach your goals. So gradually there's starting to be some acceptance that, okay, maybe this is worth talking about. And I really like now that Andy's got some data that supports that, and Kristen's talked to athletes before games, after games. And Jeff actually did attend a program in Calgary that helped him look at who he was other than an athlete. And, you know, again, I'm not sure how much of that maybe was planting some seeds for when there was a gradual transition, when eventually there was a transition out of sport. But if you don't think about that until the day you walk away from your sport, it's going to be a rough road for you. So it still will be a rough road. There's nothing anybody can do to make it simple and easy. But there are things you can do to make it easier for yourself and simpler. So I'm just curious, before I was going to briefly talk just about some things you can do now, building on what Jeff was saying, to help prepare you for transition, and then just talk a little bit about career planning and what those steps are, and some things, again, you could be doing now when you're competing. But I'm just curious about what, if I could answer a question for you, if I had like the magic crystal ball and I could answer a question for you, what is it you would like to know about your career, about your life after sport? What are the questions that you have you'd like answers to?
Just too different. How are you going to handle it, the other life?
How are you going to handle it? The two different worlds, yeah? Yep.
I think like a big question is like, what is my current value? Like to like for example, you're already doing a career transition. Like how valuable am I as a person to other organizations? So like,
to other organizations,
yeah, so say you're going to go into a different type of career path.
Right.
Like how valuable am I right now?
Right.
Different stuff.
Right. Yeah. And a question, I mean, I used to get all the time, is like, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I start putting my non-athlete kind of eggs into this basket and it turns out to be the wrong choice? I don't like what I do. So let me just thank you for those questions, and let me just build on that a bit. First of all, I've worked with lots of people on career transition. But working at Sports Center in Calgary, I did work with hundreds of national Olympic high-performance athletes. And what I do know is that you're a unique group of people. And so the models and the steps that I use with other people, it's the same thing that I would encourage you to be looking at, but you're bringing some special qualities and characteristics to it. One of them is, as Jeff said, you put an awful lot of time and energy and effort and dedication and passion into your sport. And that has probably led to you having what we used to call kind of a narrow identity, just seeing yourself as an athlete. What is helpful is to get to know yourself on a broader basis than that. And during the time you're still competing, there is research now that shows it's going to make you more effective in stress management as an athlete, and it will make your transition out of being an active athlete easier as well. So that would be one of the aspects, is that you put so much time into it, your identity does get very narrow. But in terms of what do you have to offer, the skills that you are using as an athlete are very transferable. Now, this doesn't mean someone's going to hire you to be a brain surgeon just because you've been, a great rugby player, a great swimmer. But the skills you've learned in terms of setting goals, working towards goals, being able to achieve those, time management, stress management, emotional awareness, emotional management, all of those things are qualities you can bring into any post-athletic involvement. And part of the career planning work and transition work is giving you awareness of that and a vocabulary, not only so that you can describe to somebody else, so that you get it yourself. Oh yeah, you're right, I have done that. And that could allow me to compete against other people in a job market in a way that would give me a step up. So I still need the education, but the skills and the qualities that you've developed as a high-performance athlete are really important. Now, in terms of what else, there's the sport and then there's the world out there. You're not supposed to know what it is you're going to be doing after sport exactly. Somehow, there's been this misconception that people ask you, so what are you going to do when you retire? And, what are you working towards? Or that you think on the day you finish competing, you're supposed to know. You're not supposed to know. How are you supposed to know what all these jobs out there are like, what all of these occupations are like? And career planning, in my mind, is not picking the perfect job. Career planning is knowing who you are and then being able to identify options and move towards those options. And then also, just like you've been doing in your sport, to reevaluate what isn't working. So maybe I thought I was headed here, this just isn't feeling right for me. But how can I, again, take what I've learned from my sport, take what I've got educationally, and a big part of the process is doing information gathering about what the options are. How can I find out what is out there? And this sounds interesting, and I see how I can take these pieces I have and move towards that. So you're not going to go away today with an answer, but I'm hoping you will leave with the understanding that there are steps you can take. And I think during the time that you're competing, if you can work on an education, that's great. If you're in a sport that allows for that, or you're able to work at a friendly university or do distance education, fantastic. But whether or not you're doing that, what all of you can be doing is starting to pay attention to who you are and what does, including sport, what does move you to a place of passion, what really matters to you in this world. What kind of a person are you? What are your interests? What are your values? What sort of skills, other than your athletic skills, are you interested in honing and developing? And so gathering information about you, and again, in a career planning program or process, there are certain standardized tests that can help give you some feedback, that you answered these questions this way, and that's a lot like people who enjoy these kinds of work. It doesn't mean that's exactly what you should do, but it's something to narrow down what you might be thinking about anyways. So it's looking at that. You can be gathering information on who you are, and then also you are often in prime information gathering networking situations. You're on airplanes all the time, sitting beside people. You're all over the world competing. You're out there not only in your sport, but you're out there in the community mixing with people, and people are interested in you. People are excited to talk to a national, a high-performance athlete. They're interested in that. And guess what? You can talk about yourself, and then you can say, and what do you do? And why do you like doing that? And how did you get into that? And you may find that a lot of the stories you hear, you think, no, that doesn't sound like me. But you're going to meet people that you think, that's kind of interesting. Can I get your business card? Can I find out more about that? Can I follow up? So that's just sort of the casual kind of research or information gathering you can do. But once you know what might be of interest to you, again, you can set up the opportunities. You can contact people. So even while your main focus is on your competition, your training, your competing, and as Jeff said, you know, this not trying to pull you away from that goal, but how can you broaden your base of support for who you are as a person, put that into your sport, but also start to sow some seeds so that whenever the transition happens by choice or whether it's something that's unplanned, you at least got a bit of an idea in mind is, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know there's some steps to be followed here, and I've already started gathering some of the information. I'm not starting from square one. So that's basically what I wanted to share, and I think, again, rather than individual questions, if we could just kind of open it up for questions to anybody, unless there's something specific right now. Okay, well, good luck, and in terms of what is available to you here in Victoria, I think a lot of that is still being determined in terms of programs or individual counseling. But I think, Amy, we're going to have a sign-up sheet for people to indicate if they did want any further help on this anyways. So thank you for your time, and good luck with this, and I look forward to seeing you competing and also hearing what you move on to after that, like Jeff. So thanks very much.